Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. How are we all doing today? It is a wonderful Wednesday, the middle of the week, perfect time to take some stitching time in what you're doing. We're so excited to be here today. We have a wonderful guest that I can't wait to bring in just a moment here. Excuse me. As you come in, say hi, say hello, what you're working on, where you're from. Let us know. Sorry, guys, I'm going to introduce a brand new pattern today to you guys that you are going to want to make. It is what it is. And I'm not going to apologize for it because they're amazing patterns. And I'll be honest, I've been waiting a very, very long time for this to happen. And, it's all because of me. That's why it's all done. No, I'm just kidding. But it is so great to have our wonderful guest here. I'm going to bring her in. Hi, Cara. My mom's watching, so that means my boys are here. Hi, guys. Summer's almost over, but they're still enjoying their summer. Hi, the Hue Therapist from Puerto Rico and Susan from Tennessee. And let's see, we've got Crochet Lady Sue Ann over here on Instagram and Steph from Nova Scotia. Hello, Nothing Currently from West Texas. Hi, Minnesota. I'm in the UK. India? Yeah, okay, India. Sorry, they're going fast. Finishing a bucket hat, but was working on a crochet boho fanny pack. Ooh. Hi from South Dakota, from Southern California. Oh my gosh, Fran from New Jersey. It is so great to have you guys all here. Let me bring in our guests because we might as well start talking and have fun and bring in the party, right? So today we have Hannah. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. I am so excited about this. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. No pressure. You've been very, very busy. So
I'm really sorry. It's taken me so long, this thing.
Well, you've been just a little bit busy. I mean, you just had the big seasons crochet along going on with Brianna and Michelle. You've had a lot of other things happen in the past while. So you know what? We'll forgive you and it's okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so excuse me. Most of you already know who Hannah is. She's been on here a while. If you don't know, you're totally missing out and you want to go follow her. She is HanJan Crochet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the link in here. So this is going to go in the chat over on Facebook and Instagram. It's going to be the link for what we're talking about today. If you're on Instagram, you can go ahead and follow her at HanJan Crochet, and you'll be able to follow everything. She uses this wonderful tool so that a lot of her posts, when she's talking about stuff, you just comment one word and you'll get the link sent to you, so you don't even have to go digging for it. So yeah, go check out her Instagram and things like that to be able to find a ton of other links that you need. Okay. So we should start that, what was it, a year ago or so? You had the wonderful poncho pattern, which I did the poncho, but then you added the sleeves to it and made it a pullover, and I had to jump on board. And I will say this. Okay, so I was so excited when you were going to do the sleeves and like make it into a full cardigan or a pullover, because that's what I thought it was when you were first posting pictures of this. And, if I followed the directions correctly, I would have made a smaller size. But because I started with the poncho and then was just kind of like modifying in the end, it made it this like oversized sweatshirt. Oh my God. It is like my favorite thing to wear when it is cold, with a pair of leggings and a little t-shirt underneath. Amazing.
Oversize is so trendy at the moment, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. I love it. So it was a happy accident and I love it so much. But now you've taken it even further. So it started out as the poncho, you went into the pullover, you brought out kid sizes, and now here we are with the Franny Granny crochet along collection event.
Life event. It's a life event for me.
Yes. And so you've added how many extra patterns now to this whole like...
So in total now there's 11. There's 11 different patterns and different versions, because it started with this poncho, which was last October's collection.
Oh my gosh.
And I know, how crazy is that? So I had already started making, I'd finished it this time a year ago. I'd finished that initial design, which, like, as you can see, it's got the granny squares at the top for the yoke. because it was part of the Not Your Average Granny collection, wasn't
Yes.
it, with Katelyn Brianna?
Yes.
That was where that idea came from. And I was like, how can I use granny squares and make them a bit more trendy and a bit, not that they're not trendy, but you know what I mean? I was like, I want something a bit different. So I was like, I really want that shape, that V shape. But I also used the same shape at the back. So I was like, oh, that would make a cool, because there's lots of ponchos out there like that, isn't there? That come to a point at the front, point at the back. And I was like, I'll just make it into a simple poncho. And then after I'd done that, I was like, ooh, I'd really like sleeves on this. So I did the long sleeves. There's a version that has like no sleeves, or there's a version that has long cuff sleeves. And that was really cool. And then when I was taking photos, I tucked like the point in, just because it's made in the upcycle alpaca, which is just so drapey and soft. It was super easy to like tuck in. So I did that. And then I took a photo and I showed the photo and everyone was like, oh, it's a sweater. I was like, no, it's not. But I think I could work out how to do that. And every single part of the design just kept snowballing, because then I was like, to make the squares of the yoke for the children's sizes, the math, it just wouldn't work out. They would just be really clumsy, clunky sizings. So I just took the granny squares out and just did the yoke just in granny stitches. And then after I'd done that, everyone was like, oh, can we have adult versions of that, please? And I was like, yeah, sure, but it's a completely different pattern because of the sizing. So yeah, I've just ended up basically with 11 patterns now.
Yeah, and they're so amazing. So there's a cardigan version, which is on my list to make because I absolutely love it. And the coloring that you did with it, so it's still the granny squares at the top. You still have got the granny stitch through the body, but you did less coloring. It's all basically one color until the bottom. It has, there it is.
This one.
I love it. It is gorgeous.
This is the cool thing. And this is the one that really helpfully shows the structure of it. So it's a top down and seamless. So you get your point. There's the back of it here, but then the sides close with this triangle. So you can add color in all sorts of ways. And this is not tricky. This is not tricky at all. You go back and forth in rows, just following your ups. It's like a V at the bottom. Or like a W kind of thing, an upside down W. And then you decrease and you fill in these sides and you get your triangles.
Yeah. It's so awesome. It really is an easy construction because, you know, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? This is going to be complicated. This is going to be a lot of like figuring out your decreases. Guys, there's only one decrease right in that middle of that point. Well, I guess the point
goes down.
But, you know, as you work that extra triangle piece triangle piece, it's just one decrease. That's it. Like, it's not even a lot of counting. It's not even a lot of like, it's a very mindless make. So you can kind of just keep working as you're going, which I absolutely love. So, okay. So we have the original poncho. We have the poncho turned into a pullover. We have the cardigan. Then you went and did a pullover that has a hood with it. And you can go short sleeve, long sleeve. You can go hood, no hood. I know. Why stop there, right?
You can do what you like, basically. I do like getting carried away, as you know. And so basically I'm like, oh, I want this version. And no, I want this. You know, I get just too excited. But yeah, and I did like the little child dress, which then, and I've done an adult dress version of this as well, which is just with the hood left off. And you end up with this little, you probably can't see it, but like a keyhole neckline that's really, really cute.
Let me bring you up larger and we'll see if we can show. Oh, there we go. Now you can see it.
Keyhole neckline here. But you can add that, but the hoodie version, we start in rows and then we join and work in rounds. Some of them are all in rounds, some of them are all in rows, but they're all seamless and top down, so you can try them on as you go, which is why, you know, people are saying, oh, I'm really scared of making garments. Well, have a bash at these because they're not as scary as you might think.
I mean, that's exactly what I did with this one is, so you start with your granny squares here and then you're combining them to make your yoke. Like, really, it's not much of a yoke when you start because it's really just this section. But then you can start putting it over your head as you work. And that's what I did to figure out how many rows I wanted it to go, because you can really play with that length based off of how many rows you go. And then you're just filling in the side triangles on a lot of these. Now, some of them are different, don't get me wrong, but they all start at the top so you can try on as you go and stop at that length that you wanted and that you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and I've had lots of people have messaged me to say, like, I don't understand. How do I really keep going until I'm happy with the length? And then I'm like, yeah, just literally keep going. There's one round that you can just keep going and going and going. Then when the point's at the length you want it to be, then we can fill in the sides. And the process for filling in, like your triangle at the side is the same, regardless of how long it is, which is why it's so easy to turn it into a dress.
Right.
So, so yeah, honestly, it's really simple. And I've done all, they're all laid out all separately, because I know figuring out, you know, parentheses and stuff in patterns is really hard sometimes. So I've tried to section everything out separately. So they're long patterns, but hopefully you can just go to the size that you need, and then that will make life easier for you.
Yeah, and we're getting comments over here on Instagram saying how pretty these patterns are, how they love them. They're very pretty. And Cara over here says that she loves all of your patterns, but she is currently making the Franny Granny dress. So we put a dress out there, at least one.
I would have worn it today, but it is like an oven in here, and I've got shorts on. But yeah, this is my dress. These are my comfy worsted colors. This is the one that I went all out with, all my colors. But that's the cool thing. I love doing the color combination. So that's why I went with the comfy worsted for it, because they're just the most amazing color options that you can make. But like they're cool as t-shirts as well. Like just leave the sleeves off and it's just like a summer tee. And you don't have to put like a rib neckline on it, like, you know, like the poncho and the full on sweater does. You don't even have to. These ones just have a really simple yarn over slip stitch rib at the bottom. So, and they've all got, all of the patterns have all of the versions of all of the sleeves and the ribs and everything in them. I just literally take it to sync.
Yeah, it's so customizable. It's like a choose your own adventure, but it's not a hard adventure. Like it's a straightforward, explained out adventure. So it's awesome. Oh, well, we have to throw in here that now I have somebody commenting. We have the Hue therapist saying, I'm working on making the top that Hannah is wearing. And Susan said she is working on Hannah's Penelope lace top now.
Yeah, so this is the violet top, which is the one using the fingering weight with the thicker banding and the slightly different construction. And then the Penelope top is the one with the rib that you can make cropped or you can make into a dress. So yeah, which also use comfy as well. I just have a bit of a thing with comfy now at the moment.
Listen, I know I work for the company and everything else, but I've tried a lot of yarn in my day, and comfy is my now favorite go-to for summer makes. I mean, I love that it's in multiple different weights. It feels so good. It just drapes so well. It is absolutely amazing. And yes, the top that Hannah is wearing is on my list. Yes, my list is very long, and yes, I have to pick a color yet for it, but I really am hoping I can finish it up before the end of this summer so I can start wearing it, because, you know, a lot of these pieces too are great layering, whether it's a cardigan going over something that you're wearing as you go into a building, as you go into work, or potentially something like she's wearing now that you can layer under a store-bought cardigan. That also works too. I mean, heck, you could throw the top on that she has now with the long cardigan that we were just looking at, because she uses the similar color blues in there that would go really well together. So you can layer your crochet as well.
Definitely. And someone was asking me about the dress of the Franny Granny collection, saying, you know, would it be warm enough for autumn and winter? And I was like, absolutely. Like if you put leggings, a long sleeve top and boots on, that would be, and because the comfy worsted, it does have a good amount of weight to it, doesn't it? It does have a good amount of warmth. It's because it's got the granny stitching, because it has got that chain one space and the air in it, is fine for a summer top. It's just like with a little camisole underneath, but you can definitely layer that up for the winter. And I've done some styling version. I did like an Instagram reel. I don't know if you saw it, with my leather jacket and stuff and my boots on, just to give people an idea of like, you can style it so many different ways.
Yeah. I was just going to say that too. Like if you're on the fence about which one you want to make, be sure to check out Hannah's Instagram, because she does show you different ways to style it. And it's not just with this. She's done it with a lot of her other projects too. I think the last time we talked, we were talking about your skirt that you had made, and just the difference of how you pair a top with it really just changes the whole look and the feel of the garment. I know I love your dress when you put your thicker belt on. I thought that looked amazing. And it's just so cute. A couple extra little accessories to go with it, and you've got this gorgeous like couture outfit that you're wearing. And yeah, I love it so much.
I love it. I enjoy it so much. I've always been really, and the reason I'm doing that much more now is because I've always been really anxious and nervous about dressing things, styling things together. I know that I have it in me and I love choosing colors and I love choosing accessories, but I never feel quite brave enough. And it's a confidence thing, I think, isn't it? Or certainly for me. And now I feel like, you know what, I am going to wear what I don't know if I'm coming to a certain age where I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to wear what I like. I'm going to wear what makes me feel comfy and what makes me feel confident. And actually, if I can empower other people to not only crochet things that make them feel confident, but kind of put outfits together. Because so many people are like, how do you actually wear your crochet? And I'm like, any way you like. Absolutely any way you like.
You know, and I've noticed too over time. So when I first started in crochet, however many years ago, you know, yes, times have changed, so that's part of it. But when I first started, I always thought that I could only do like single crochet, double crochet, and that was it. And you just use those stitches and you would make a cardigan, make a whatever. And it was always like, this is clunky. This is like, you know, it looks like I made it type of, well, maybe I shouldn't say it that way, but you know what I mean? Like it didn't look like it was a high fashion item. And the way crochet has changed, the way designers, especially Hannah, have been putting together stitch variations, it just looks so high end. It's so elevated. It looks like it's coming out of a boutique that you can go ahead and style and wear with anything really at this point, you know? And depending on the yarn that you're picking, you can make it real easy to wash it so you can wear it often, and you're not going to have a problem with it. I mean, yes, please consider what kind of yarn you're using and how often you're going to wear it. But like the comfy yarn, because it's a cotton acrylic, you can wash it real quickly and throw it in the wash machine on a hand wash cycle. And, you know, it's good to go. Like you don't have to actually stick it in a bucket, soak it, wring it, stretch it. Like it's so much more versatile now.
I don't have time for that in my life. So, you know, like, and even if I did, I don't think I'd want to, you know, like I want the easy option, easy option, which is like, it washes really nicely actually. And goes even softer, I think, after a couple of washes. So yeah.
And I love to, with Hannah's patterns, you know, I see somebody over here saying that they feel like they're not a high fashion brand or a high fashion person. And I have to say too, that when you're making your own clothing, I'm just going to speak to the top that you're wearing right now, because I know this one comes in different varieties, but there's ways to transform it into your body. So Hannah has a cropped version. She has a long version. She put it into a dress that you could actually make like a tunic version. Again, all these different things to make it work for your body and for your comfort level. Because why are you making it if you're not comfortable in it? There's so many adaptations we can make with our crochet. You really can have wonderful pieces.
Yeah. And I think really hard when I'm designing things, as you know, I go over and over to figure out what construction I can use to make it like easy to make, comfortable to wear, and then customizable, because that's a big thing for me. Like I do the whole size rate, the you know, size inclusive anyway, but so this one is made of two. It's really confusing me that I'm like mirrored. I'm touching the wrong side of my body. That's really odd. It's two rectangles and they are seamed together in the center here. And you can make this as low or as high as you want to. And I know lots of things are constructed like this, but in the pattern as well, I say, right, if you want a deeper neckline, don't seam up so much or seam up more. You can do the same at the back. You can do under the arms. The armholes are your choice of size and depth here. Like this would be really cool as like you could leave the front completely undone and have it like just tied up at the front as like a little cardigan. There's so many different things you can do with the same pattern. You can add any lengths that you like to this. You can change so many aspects of lots of patterns. But I think it's, again, having the confidence to know to do that. So I've got now in all of my PDFs, I do a customization page like that tells you exactly what you can do to change X, Y, or Z of this particular pattern.
Right. And I know you just did a live where you talked all about color selection around the Franny Granny collection. So if you missed it, you can go back and still watch a replay of it. But it talks about how to pick colors, how to put colors together so you have confidence with that. Because, you know, I know even for myself, like I do a lot of color selection. I do a lot of looking at color and everything else. And Sometimes you're like, in a ball, I'm not quite sure when I put them together how this is going to look. And then when you see it actually worked up, you're like, oh, that's really great. Or, ooh, why was I thinking that? So there's a whole like piece of information there for you to talk or to look through color selection and have more confidence as you go into making something that is more striped or has multiple colors to it.
And I love it so much. And that's what, sorry, my husband's just come home. So my dogs are going like, hello, sorry, they're so noisy. With the whole collection that's on at the moment, until the end of the crochet along, you get, if you buy the whole collection, you get that color course for free. You get the 140.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if you did. Yeah, so you get the $149 course for free, because then you can use that in tandem with the patterns to be able to pick exactly the right colors for you.
Right. And that's a huge value, guys, because it doesn't have to just be for Hannah's patterns. It's going to translate across to everything. So, yeah. Okay, so there is a question here about, do you wash the yarn before you start crocheting? And I've never washed my yarn first. I would say the only time I would consider doing that is if you were maybe pulling yarn from an old project. Yes. And I still wouldn't even wash it. In my opinion, I would put it in like a big hank or, you know, a large circle, kind of soak it in the water and then like hang it to dry type of thing. But if we're talking about just getting like, you know, a ball of yarn in the mail, I don't wash it. I just start working with it. I guess maybe we should say this though, that I kind of wash it in the sense that I make a swatch and I wash my swatch or block it or whatever to how I'm going to do it to see how it works, but I'm not like washing the whole cake or whatever of yarn. So
I think it's a really good thing to wash your swatch or at least treat it and wet it so that you do know how it behaves. And first of all, you need to do that because you're going to block it anyway to make sure it meets the gauge. But then also you'll know what it feels like, because it does change the drape, doesn't it? When you get when you then have made your swatch and you then dry it, if you wiggle it, it will feel different to one that hasn't been washed.
Yeah. And also too, when you're looking at gauge, like specifically when we're talking about like the granny stitches and we're talking about the top that Hannah's wearing, you can block something by, let's just go with like the soaking method, because it's just easy to stay with one. If I soak it in water, right? And then I squeeze out the water, I do not wring it, do not wring, just squeeze. And then I lay it out to dry, right? And I don't really pin it or anything. That's going to give me 1 gauge measurement. If I want it to be something that's very like open and open the stitches, that's where you're going to stretch it and pin it. And you want to do the same thing you're going to do to your swatch that you would do later to your finished piece. So if you take your swatch and it's like, I know this is an extreme, but like 3 inches, and you pull it so that it's 3.5 inches, you need to make sure that you're stretching your next piece by that same ratio to get that same look. I know it's a little complicated and you know, not something you really have to do all the time, but you have to remember what you're doing to your swatch won't happen to your finished piece unless you do the same thing.
Yeah. And I think that's really important then to say it's really, really vital that you make a swatch bigger, much bigger, in my opinion, than 4 inches, because you can do something like you say that's like 3.5 inches and you go, oh yeah, it just about makes 4 inches. But then that won't, like, then when you make something that like this is like 20 inches across, like the same rules don't apply. So you need to make something that's way bigger than your 4-inch square in order to make sure that it's going to behave in the same way.
Right. Or, you know, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but you know, I'm going to throw myself under the bus, I guess. Sometimes if I don't want to swatch, I will start the project and I will just start working. And as I get to a certain point, I will block it. And stretch it out and check it. You just have to be okay with if it doesn't work out, then you're going to rip everything out. But sometimes to me, that's worth it because again, like for a poncho or something that's not going to be super, super size perfection. That's just what I do.
Well, and also again with this one, so these panels, they're done in long thin panels and these ones are like 8 inches across, and so you could start that and go, oh well, it's kind of, and then just work a few rows and it will soon become obvious as to whether that's going to block to the measurements. I may have done that when I was actually doing it myself.
Nobody knows. There is a question here about I usually roll my garments in a towel to get excess water out. Is that bad?
That's a great idea. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
I
people
actually
stand on them.
That's what I was gonna say. I actually roll them
Yeah,
and then I walk on
yeah,
top of mine to try to get as much excess water out of it, because the biggest thing is you don't wanna wring it, because when
yeah,
you wring it, you're distorting your stitches. You could be pulling it in directions you don't want it to go. If you're gonna do any pulling or stretching on your garment or your swatch, you should really do it while you've laid it down on your flat surface, like on your blocking boards or over a drying rack or something. That's when you wanna manipulate it, not while you're trying to like get the extra water out.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So hold on. Oh, there's a request here for a swing top type of design, which I think is like a peplum top,
Yeah.
to cover the bellies and hips.
Well, I know. Yeah, that's already there in my head. I'll tick that box. Yeah.
Not that we're like putting in requests here or whatever, but
I love requests because I have so many ideas in my head that actually it helps me when people say, "Can this?" The whole thing is because people kept saying, "Oh, can you now do a? Can you do this?" And I realize now that I've been doing basically granny stitches apart from this lace stuff for like a year, and I'm
yeah,
kind of I'm ready. I love the granny stitch, but I think I'm ready to do something different now. So
different. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I put the link in there. I'm going to put it in again. Again, this is over on Facebook and Instagram, excuse me, Facebook and YouTube that you'll get that link. If you are on Instagram watching us, head over to HanJanCrochet.com. You're going to find it right there on the homepage. And we're talking about the Franny Granny crochet along. And what do people really need to know about this? So because it's a crochet along, is there a window of time? Can they get a paid pattern? Kind of what's going on?
So we've got 2 more weeks left of it, but you're not too late. No one's ever too late. It's all fine. It's all fine. These patterns are out there. They will always be out there, but we just at the moment are having a big like focused celebration of these patterns. And so all of them from next Monday will be available to view for free on the blog. So I'm releasing them like, every Monday and Thursday throughout the crochet along. So you can view them for free on my blog that is supported by ads. All of them have, apart from the 2 dresses, but they're the same construction as a hoodie, have YouTube videos, which are free to view as well. And then there's so many versions that if you only want to buy one, that's absolutely fine because there's PDFs of all of them individually. There's the children's collection that is a set, which then you get money off all of the 4 together now. There's the 2 adult versions as well that are sent as ebooks as well. And then the whole collection of all 11 is available to purchase at a special price during the crochet along. And that's the one that has the $149 color course. So that's the only way that you can get the color course.
Now.
And that color course offer goes away on the 14th of August when the crochet along finishes.
Okay, so definitely go check it out now. I mean, gosh, that bonus of the class by itself is totally worth it. But I mean, think about it. You're getting 11 patterns all going together. They're absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously, you're not going to work on all 11 right now, but you can save them and keep working on them as you go. They're also really great gift ideas because there's less shaping in this granny stitch. So you kind of have a little less like guessing on what you're going to be doing if you are gifting it. So love it. Okay, so here's a question. Going back to blocking a second, do you have to block every time the garment is washed?
I would say no. I would say just let it shape. It depends on the fabric. I think it depends on the stitch. I think lacy stuff probably would need a definite nudge in the right direction because it tends to curl in on itself, or mine does anyway. But I think things like the granny stitch, they'll be fine. Just lay them flat to dry. But if you feel like it's gone slightly wonky or out of shape in any way, then there's no harm in putting just a pin here or a pin there. But I wouldn't aggressively block anything again. Would you? I don't.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the project and the yarn that you use, because there are yarns, like specifically our Hawthorn yarn, that you're supposed to wash it and throw it in the dryer. So I actually don't block anything that I make in Hawthorn because it's supposed to go on a gentle cycle in your wash machine. So I figure there's no point in, unless it's like a really lacy piece, then I will. But most of the time, I just kind of hand wash it or throw it in on a gentle cycle, again, depending on the instructions on the yarn. And I usually end up laying it just over a drying rack, like a mesh thing and putting a fan on it and calling it a day. Because if we're being honest, when you put it on, it's going to just kind of keep molding to your body base, not molding, but you know what I mean? Like, the stitches go where they want to go.
Yeah.
So no,
don't fight it on. Let it do its thing.
Yeah. I don't reblock every time unless it's like something very lacy. And when it comes out, it starts to get wrinkly. But other than that, I just kind of go with it. And I'll be honest, I don't wash my stuff every time I wear it. I don't wear my crochet things if I know it's going to be like super hot and I'm going to be sitting out in the sun and there's going to be like sweat and everything else. I'll avoid a crochet piece then, but I'll wear it all the other times. And I only wash it maybe once every 6 months, unless I'm like wearing it a lot. Sometimes even a year. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on the piece, doesn't it? And like where you wear it and what you know.
Right.
Well, I had to wash the lace dress, unfortunately, that I wore for my brother's wedding because my son threw up all down it. And I was so scared. I was so scared of washing it and then having to, and I was like, I can't ever wear that again. I can't ever wear that again because it makes me think, not because it smells or anything, but it makes me think of that situation. So there we go. That's done.
Right. Okay, so I know we're coming here to the end, but I want to just answer 2 more questions here. Can we repeat the Instagram handle again? Yes, it's HanJan, so HanJan Crochet is what you're going to search for, and you will be able to find Hannah on like every platform ever. She's so busy and active. And then there was, another question. Carl would like to know, what is your favorite project that you made in this collection?
Well, 2. Can I choose 2? But the most sentimental one is the poncho, because that's where it all began, and that was just one of those projects that I did think about it, but I didn't have to think hard about it. It just happened. And I love it when that happens because I was just like, well, this, and then that can go there, and and I'll just pop some sleeves. You know, it was such an organic process, which is quite unusual. Like I normally really overthink stuff, and I really enjoyed that. But my favorite garment, and I've worn them all, but my favorite one is the dress. And I wore it out last week. I went out to dinner with Veronica from Blue Star Crochet, and and I got comments on my dress. I was so excited, just walking down the road in the middle of a busy city, and people commented on my dress, and I was like, yay, I really did. People like my stuff.
I love it. That is amazing. The dress is beautiful. And, I'm excited to see what color combos everybody starts putting together, because you look at the dress and it looks fabulous, but it's got a lot of colors. Some people aren't into that. So I can't wait to see somebody do like a solid color or do something similar to like what you did with the cardigan, where it's mostly solid with maybe like a couple stripes in there. I can't wait to see what people come up with for all of these projects.
I want to make the dress in black. I want the dress in black for winter. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. That would be amazing.
That's my plan.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us live today. Please go check out HanJan Crochet and the Franny Granny.
Sorry.
Crochet along. That was a lot of similar syllables there.
It's hard.
Because you don't want to miss out. And you want to make sure that if you're interested in this and you want to get it now while you have the discounted price and the bonus of the color course, because you're going to use it forever. And it's just a really great time to go ahead and purchase it and get started. Make sure you're tagging us if you're using our yarns along the way, so we can see it. And don't forget to tag Hannah, because she loves to see what everybody is working on. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Hannah, for giving us your time today. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.